What's up, YouTube? One final video for the night. I've already mentioned my father, John Billings. He passed away 14 years ago today. I also have to give a shout out to my cousin Ryan. Actually, he was my second cousin. He also passed away as of recently at the age of 41. Very sad. He was respected by so many. Please pray for his family, his loved ones, his friends, as they are going through a very difficult time. Us Billingses were a very God-loving country, blue-collar, hard-nosed pack of wolves. We'll do anything for anyone. We'll give you the shirt off our back. We'll jump in front of a bullet to protect you, let alone a family member. We also came over here in the Mayflower. Yeah, interesting fact. John Billington actually came over in the Mayflower. His family, he brought his family over here to escape England because they wanted to escape oppression. So over there in England at that time, they had no rights. They had no freedom of speech. They had no freedom of religion. They had no protection against unreasonable search and seizures. They had no right against self-incrimination. They had no right against self-incrimination. They had no rights at all. That's why they came over here to start a new world. When my folks took me to Cape Cod when I was younger, we visited the area and we found out that, yeah, John Billington came over in the Mayflower, him and his family. So keep that in mind, please, when you ever hear about us Billingses. So I'm going to keep Ryan and Dad up in the background. I kind of spun through those videos last time. The content was awful. You couldn't really see anything. It was blurry. So yeah, I kind of feel bad about that. So I'm going to make one final video in tribute to them. So we built an Azure VM. All right. So now that you can actually see my screen, we're going to go to resource groups. We're going to create a resource group. And we're going to call this resource group Ryan, John, RG. Oh, can't type. RG for resource group. It's an Eastern US data center. We're going to click next, hit passed. We're going to create it. And then we're going to associate our other cloud computing resources with that one resource group. So here we have virtual networks. We're going to click on that blade. We're going to click create. And since we already created a resource group, we want to add them to this. And the instance, we're going to name this we're going to leave the you know what? No, let's see. Okay, so we have the virtual network that is provisioning, and now we will go to the virtual machines. We're going to click create. We're going to do two virtual machines. We're going to do a Windows box and a Linux box. So we're going to add the resource group for the VMs. This will be we'll stick with 2022. That looked pretty cool. Very good. Selected by default. Awesome. We're going to open port 3389 so we can connect to this VM when it's done. We're going to click next. We're just going to select standard hard disk drive. We don't feel like paying money for an SSD right now. We're going to leave the encryption default. Networking. See, our virtual network for Ryan John 1 has already been created. We're going to select the, we're going to leave this subnet default. I forgot to create a subnet. That's okay. Let me see. Some of this I didn't plan any of this. I'm just doing it. So hopefully you have a game plan. If you do build out your Azure resources, and we're gonna so it passed the provisioning test. Awesome. So I'm gonna click create. And so that's the cost. That's how much of this is going to cost per month. It's a pay-as-you-go subscription. I'm sorry, that is the cost per hour. Forgive me. So my budget is based on monthly as-you-go services. This is actually an hourly cost. So if this VM is getting used a lot, like if it's getting slammed with traffic, that price is going to go up. That hourly rate's going to jump from like something, how many cents, to a lot more. So make sure you plan your budgets accordingly in Azure. Cost management and analysis. If you go to budgets, you can create a budget. We'll do that sometime, but not right now because I want to move along quickly. Okay, so there's the VM. Now we have, let's see if we still have our Jane Doe. Okay, very good. So if you remember correctly, we had set up an account for Jane Doe. Goodbye. So let's say Jane Doe was across the state or in a different part of the country, and she needed a laptop, a brand new one, or a Surface Pro, or whatever. We contacted the manufacturer, submitted the purchase order, and we are shipping that directly to them. They open it up right out of the box, and they set it up. Instead of us imaging the device like we typically would through Intune, we can leverage this technology on this platform through what's called OOBE, out of the box or something. OO something B. It stands for out of the, basically you buy a new computer, you unpack it, and your employee can sign right into it and use it with their Microsoft account. It's like out of the box. That's what that stands for. I can't remember what the exact definition is. So JDoe, this is the Windows 10 VM that we created. JDoe at tylerlabm.com, and I hopefully remember what her password was. Yes. All right. So I will be prompted for multi-factor authentication. Maybe. It's thinking. When a device is prepared for first-time use, it usually does take a little bit for it to set up. Now, this will also be added in. Oh, there's Forrest Gump's account. Oh, there's Bruce Wayne's account. And this is what the view looks like for Jane Doe as well. She would have the E5 license as well as the E3. The E3 is for the mailbox and basic apps. whereas the E5 is for security and mobility. So it can be an E3 security and mobility, that's fine. It just won't include the premium P2, which is kind of what you want, especially for remote workers, or AKA the power users, so to speak. Okay, please wait while we set up your device. See, I like how it talks to you. I wish it would actually, like, it does actually. Oh, I can't turn on the microphone because it's not. Never mind. Sorry. So it will actually speak to you. It's called Cortana, but she's kind of annoying sometimes. Hey Cortana, are you turned on? No, she's not. It's this little one right here. So I don't feel like talking to her right now. Now, a lot of businesses will actually disable Cortana in terms of compliancy. It's still kind of like uncharted territory right now with, you know, what it does. Artificial intelligence is still kind of... Oh, wait, it did turn on. I do have it activated. Okay, there we go. Cool. So while we're doing this, while we're waiting for that, so this is what basic enrollment looks like with Microsoft Intune. It's pretty cool. Some fun stuff, man. All right, good. So I still have this window open. So I thought I was gonna have to sign in, but I don't. Cool. All right, so eventually she's gonna have a device appear under her account. If we jump over to Endpoint Manager, we will see the third device populate this time. There it is. Very good. So we're going to want to rename that at some point. Not right now because it's still being set up. So I won't need that open. Very good. All right, so we have our Azure VM. Very cool. Okay, so now we have to create our Linux box. And this time we're going to bash it out. We demonstrated PowerShell. This time we're going to use bash. So AZ, I think it's group list. Very good. So this will list the resource groups. And then we can pipe that to kind of shorten the JSON output. So let's create the VM, azvm create. Oh, I spelled it wrong. azvm create. And we will call this, actually first we have to list out the resource group name. And that will be Ryan and John resource group. The name of the VM will be Azure Linux VM 1. We don't really care about the year. Image will be Ubuntu LTS. Admin username will be, I don't know. We'll just say Azure Linux, and then generate SSH keys. Click enter. And that's good because we're starting to see the output. That's a good sign. Very good. So if we click refresh, we'll eventually see two of them. So Azure, the Windows box is actually up and running. So we can check that out. And we'll get ready to connect to it here shortly. Let's go back to our other machine and check out the status of Jane Doe's new laptop. That's still being set up. That's okay. Oh, not that one. Oh, and if you remember correctly, we also set up a Windows Server 2022 through VirtualBox. So let's finish that, shall we? Very good. So this is on our local network. I mean our data center at our company office. Whereas the other through Azure is actually in the cloud. So that's where it gets a little confusing to keep up with the grain. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Shame on me. Very good. Okay. So now we're going to jump back to, I'm going to get out of that VM, and I'm going to jump back to this. And let's refresh. And all right, there's our Linux box. So we have two of them. There's the output. Very good. Now I'm going to delete both these machines, or I'm just going to delete the resource group in general when I'm done. So please don't try to hack this machine because there's literally nothing on them. So let's say, is there one more thing we have to do? I don't think so. So let's SSH into, was it Azure Linux? Was that what I called it? Yeah, Azure Linux. Yep, very good. And let's copy pod this. Yes. And whoop, there we are. Okay, very cool. So if you notice, it is in that same on that same network as my Linux box. In fact, if I wanted to talk to that Linux box, So it's 10.10 or 10.0.0.4. So if I wanted to ping 10.0.0.4, okay, maybe they aren't talking to each other yet. That's okay. Sometimes that is disabled to prevent a denial of service attack. So that's probably something I would have to go in and enable for that. But they are on the same subnet. They can communicate with each other because I've done this before where they're able to. So, okay, yep, we're going to select next. Okay, so let's connect to our Windows Azure virtual machine. We're going to download. Next. And very good. This is what we're going to see. We want to click yes. Very good. So now we could build out this server if we want to.